Hi, I'm Rev Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for 44 years. I'm going through the lessons again this year, asking Jesus for clarity, and then I write from that clarity, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. We're looking at lesson 184. The name of God is my inheritance. You live by symbols. You see something where nothing is, and see as well nothing where there is unity, a space between all things and you. Thus do you think that you have given life in separation. Everything we see as a symbol representing a desire. Nothing we see as reality. We see what is not there and fail to see what is there. As I look around the room, I notice my computer and what appears to be empty space around it. I naturally assume the computer is something and the space is nothing. Jesus asked me to reverse that perception. The computer is only a symbol, an image made by the mind. It reflects an idea I first accepted about what I wanted to experience. The apparent space is not empty at all. It only seems empty because I cannot yet see the unity that is there. I have mistaken the symbol for reality and overlooked the reality that is always present. Sometimes I think my life is a science fiction movie. So strange. I'm in the process of letting go of the belief in the world I see. That doesn't mean it ceases to be what I see. Rather, I simply become aware of it as an illusion. The story goes on with all its symbols until the end, which, like the movie I watched on my TV, the story didn't change because I stopped watching it when I got up for the snack. It didn't stop or change when I didn't like it. I could enjoy it, even the parts that weren't my usual fare and were a little scary because I knew they weren't real. This is how the world is starting to change for me, not of itself, but in my experience of it. Now, when I see someone else, an awakened part of the mind realizes it's not actually someone else I see. There's not really a space between us. There's not my body and her body. The bodies are the symbol of our desire for separation and to make it seem more real. It's okay that I still see separate bodies because as I let go of my desire for separation, my belief in the possibility of separation dissolves. I see them, but I know they're an illusion and in no way separates us, despite seeming to do so. If we believe in the illusion and simply accept that what the body's eyes see as reality, then truth becomes the enemy. It conceives little things and looks upon them, and a lack of space and a sense of unity or vision that sees differently become the threats which it must overcome, conflict with, and deny, as he tells us in the lesson. On the other hand, we cannot deny the appearances, he tells us in paragraph 9. It would indeed be strange if you were asked to go beyond all symbols of the world, forgetting them forever, yet we're asked to take a teaching function. How would that work? We're simply not to believe them. We need to remember that they stand for nothing at all. So I know my computer is nothing, and yet I use it every day, and I'm grateful for it. It helps me communicate this information using words which, as we know, are but symbols of symbols, just twice removed from reality. We communicate the best we can here, understanding that it is not unity, so it is not true communication. Then, as the preceding lessons in this section, this one reminds us to take breaks from the world. We need to rest in God and become receptive to His Word. He tells us in paragraph 10, thus what you need are intervals each day in which the learning of the world becomes a transitory phase, a prison house from which you go into the sunlight and forget the darkness. Here you understand the Word. capital W, the name, capital N, which God has given you. The one identity, capitalized, which all things share. The one acknowledgement of what is true. And then step back to darkness, not because you think it real, but only to proclaim its unreality in terms which still have meaning in the world that darkness rules. Our job is to accept the truth. We've made many names, but into our practice we bring only one name, the name of God. This reminds me that in spite of my efforts to make many things, there's only God. Interestingly enough, after all this sharing about the name of God, he tells us that God has no name. And that made me laugh. But I suppose it makes sense. God is all there is. Why would he need a name? Everything resolves in God's singular reality. Even our language fails. And yet, his name becomes the final lesson that all things are one. And at this lesson does all learning end. All names are unified. All space is filled with truth's reflection. Every gap is closed and separation healed. So God is the answer. He's answered every question, every doubt, all fear. The answer, capital A, to the illusion we made. As we retreat from the world of separation, we receive his word, and from that comes an experience to supplement the world. Jesus assures us that no one can fail who seeks to reach the truth, and that is very reassuring. I do long for the promised experience. Though I fully accept that this world we made exists only as a project of our thoughts, a projection of our thoughts, and that separation is an illusion, I'm still distractible. I can get lost in one or more of its appealing symbols, or, and this is ridiculous, but I can get as lost in its unpleasant symbols. But you know what? I am not lost. I know that I can get free. I know how to do this. I never lose sight of that anymore, and I'm beyond grateful. Thank you so much for joining me in this reading. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, then please like it, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And I'll be back soon with another reading. See you then.